All right, for game one of this best of 9 between SlayerS and Evil Geniuses, we do have SlayerS Genius as the light blue Protoss up in the top left of Whirlwind, and this guy is Evil Geniuses Huck playing as the red Protoss down in the bottom left.
And Huck's a very creative PvP player, so I kind of like this. This matchup a little bit, but Genius, man, he's so flippin' good. He's obviously GSL Code S runner-up. He had a very interesting GSL Finals performance against his then teammate Dongrygu, where he decided to go double Stargate on multiple opportunities, and never really worked out for him. Dongrygu kind of smashed him flat. But you know, obviously this is one of those guys who's in consideration for, or not in consideration, but can take down any player in the world at any given point in time.
That's right, and one of his early grand achievements was actually winning BlizzCon 2010, the first year that BlizzCon actually had StarCraft 2. Genius was the representative for Korea. He went over there and beat the snot out of everybody and won BlizzCon 2010. So he's been around a long time. Also, he's not, you know, he's not. I don't want to say he's super consistent, but he has been around a long time and still winning. You know what I mean?
He's always been a. Yeah. You mentioned he's kind of the opposite of consistency. Actually, he's either riding really high or he's nowhere to be found.
Right, or he's playing what is it, Star Strikers or FIFA? Apparently, he's a big fan of soccer. So, and some of the lulls where he's not just winning tournaments, then that's where you can find him. Apparently, he's just a big soccer fan. Plays a lot of soccer games.
Winning FIFA tournaments, apparently.
Maybe.
Well, as we can see, gas opening for both players. Neither player going for that double gas before gateway that we've been seeing so much lately, where you just drop 2 on each gas. A little more tried and true conventional openings. Looks like it was a once applied later gate for Genius, as he has the cybernetic score coming down just a bit later. Huck, of course, with a pretty quick second gas.
Yep, and as we continue on here, we'll see if either player dares build a Nexus or if they will, of course, just go for one base aggression, which seems to happen more often than not in PvP, but this is a much larger map than our typical map in the pool, so it is possible that one of them might try to take a risk and do some stuff on the low ground, but either way, right now, both gases are finishing up for each player. Warp Gate Tech already started for Huck, and Genius is going to be slightly behind. He did actually get that Zealot out, though, and now is going for a Sentry, where Huck is just going to actually make a Stalker instead. Yeah,
could make a couple of them here in a second. We'll see if he starts a second and third as soon as the first one is finished. And how much Chrono Boost does he have? Saved up a fair bit, not going into his Warp Gate research. Looks like he's waiting instead to Chrono Boost out maybe his second and third Stalkers very quickly.
All right, and if he does that, then it does give him the option to try to be a little bit more aggressive. Force fields aren't as great against Stalkers as they are against Zealots, so Stalkers with vision on the high ground can still actually do some attacking. So we'll see. It is going to come down to positioning, as it always does in PvP. We do have a robotics facility coming up for Genius, so any Immortals that come out should be able to deal with Stalkers pretty effectively. We get a second gateway now for second and third gateway. Oh, sorry, that's a Robo. Yes, just a second gateway coming up for Genius. And Huck still working off of just the one. Is that correct? No, he's got two.
He's got 2 gateways. No Robo, though, of course. So, you know, Genius, this has been a very common opening recently, to go 2-gate Robo into an expand if he wants to. Genius could still certainly do something kind of weird here in a second, but he is, of course, overproducing probes, potentially in anticipation for putting up an expansion here pretty soon.
Yeah, and Huck is actually going to be the first one to start scouting all around the map. He's got probes, actually Stalkers, going all over the place looking for his opponent. Finally, he will run into Genius in the top left. He saw a couple of Zealots and those Stalkers very quickly, very quick to turn around there, so he can actually stop scouting now. Now that Genius does have this robotics facility and the Observer out, he can start to do some scouting of his own. It looks like he is actually going to opt to go clockwise first.
And, you know, this is kind of clever from Genius. I mean, he's producing a ton of probes. Obviously, he's way oversaturated for just these bases. Or I guess he does have 29, 30 probes now. But, yeah, continuing to produce those as he eventually moves up. What do I assume will be an expansion? He got 400 resources established. But 3 Stalkers are making their way forward for Huck. He himself decided to go for a two-gate expand into a Twilight Council right afterwards.
All right, so it looks like Blink is going to be the order of the day for Huck with 4 gates and a robotics facility, most likely for that spotting Observer. And he can fall back on a second base if the first attack doesn't really go well. Or he can just bide his time and make a whole lot of Stalkers. But either way, Genius is going to catch up now with a Nexus of his own.
Yeah, and as we can see, what is he up to? What is probe count at? 32 to 28. Huck should be able to make that up a little bit, though, because he'll be double producing probes in just a second. He himself going for that blink, as you mentioned before, and more gates actually being slapped down somewhere. There is a 5th gate. Okay, it looks like it's just down on the low ground there.
All right, and yeah, so this is a lot of waiting. You noticed probably in the cast so far that we've just been saying what's going on because we don't know. We don't know until the fighting happens. PvP is generally just a game of, you know, making the specific units that you want. There's scouting going on now. Finally, Genius does arrive in Huck's base, so he sees that there is a huge chunk of Stalkers. That obviously means Genius is going to have to either try and match that number or just make a couple more Immortals. He knows that Blink is going to be a high possibility when you see a Stalker count that high without any Immortals already out on the field. So Genius knows what's coming. He just has to be able to prepare for it. And really, the beauty of PvP is when these units actually get within fighting range of each other, and you see the micro battles that occur here with Force Fields, Guardian Shields, Blinks, Immortal positioning. All that stuff is extremely important once the sparks start flying.
Yeah, very fun micro battles, as a matter of fact, in PvP. Forward pylons put down for Huck, and he's just going to be warping in on 5 gates and trying to be as aggressive as possible. And Genius throws down a couple of Force Fields, but unfortunately for him, I mean, they do keep Huck out, but they don't really do anything. They don't trap any units, and he can't use these Immortals to their best effect.
Yeah, and I'm not sure Huck really wanted to go in there anyway after he saw the amount of Immortals at the top of the ramp, so he's actually just going to keep baiting Force Fields. That's a lot of energy already baited out of the sentries. Stalkers can blink for free. They just have a normal cooldown instead, so all these Zealots and sentries that are warping in now, they've got less Force Fields that they have to deal with when they actually come in here. There are still 2 going up. Zealots do actually get in a little bit. That was kind of a strange blink, but it's not going to matter too much. Huck is still on the offense here. He is going to continue warping in, and Genius is not warping in anything.
Those were great Force Fields by Huck from behind, though. He trapped all of the Immortals up in the front, and he still has Zealots that are swinging away at his opponent's units. One more Immortal finally starting to catch up now, but because of the way he had neutralized those, every single one of those, he won't quite be able to get the Immortal. He should be able to snag it here in just a second, and does. But because, you know, he baited so many of those Force Fields out, he was able to get such a great engagement.
Yeah.
Will Huck have enough to end it right now? It may. Yeah.
Yes, he will. I mean, these Immortals, the Immortals all getting taken out, that was the bulk of Genius's resources up to this point. So the fact that he was able to carve them down really quickly and snag that one at the very end means that Huck can basically just use Blink all day long against these Stalkers that don't have Blink. Any Zealots are not going to be a threat at all. And Huck, with that forward pylon, forces a GG out of Genius in just a 10-minute game.
Wow, and Huck opening very, very strong. He's performed all right a couple of times for EG in the past in Team League situations, in our Team League specifically, but that is a very convincing performance to start things off. A very successful 5-gate attack at the very beginning there, and he knocks off one of Slayer's strongest players.
That's right, and Slayer's, as we were saying earlier, their roster has been a bit shaky as of late, so losing a workhorse like Genius this early to Huck is going to be a potential problem for them. Huck, with some great play there, already looking very, very confident, I guess, and overpowering so far in this match against Slayers. And a little bit surprising, Slayers' next choice is going to be another Protoss player.
That's right. It's going to be Arthur. Arthur.
Yeah.
That's right. We've actually seen him in Team League situations in the past, but kind of a curious decision. I mean, maybe Arthur was sitting there and saying, all right, I see what I needed to see. I can step in now. I can improve on the matchup, and I can actually win this. But still, they're not going to one of their, very strong players, reserving them for a little while.
All right, so yeah, next map is going to be Entombed Valley. It's going to be another PvP up next for game number 2. You're watching IPTL Premier Division. If you've already forgotten, please go grab some friends, hop on Twitter, Facebook, tell people that EG versus SlayerS is going on. This is a crazy matchup, already off to a quick start, and Huck is doing some work. So let's go to a break right now, and on the other side, we'll see how Arthur fares against Evil Genius's Huck.